56. Tu, io e Salamella, corre sulla fascia e no, non si ferma. Lui dribbla, lui segna, lui è una certezza. Col 56 sulla schiena e Salamella. E tu, io e Salamella, corre sulla fascia e no, non si ferma. Lui dribbla, lui segna, lui è
nella propria mezza campo a difendere e un Milan invece
Giroud in area, si gira, sinistro, rete, ha raddoppiato il Milan al 33esimo minuto nel corso della ripresa, cambia ancora il parziale a San Siro, gol, capolavoro di Olivier Giroud, spalle alla porta, in area di rigore, si libera sul piede sinistro, manda a vuoto l'intervento del difensore dell'Inter e piazza il suo sinistro nell'angolino più lontano, lì dove Samir Handanovic non.
Buongiorno, pomeriggio, buonasera, fellow Melanisti, and welcome to the Mlm Podcast with us, your hosts, me, Max Lombardia, him, everyone's favourite AC Milan uncle, Giorgino, and by popular demand, our favourite, or one of our favourite guests, Raj, is back. Hello, my man, how you doing?
Hi, Max. Hi, Gino. Lovely to be back. It just felt like it was yesterday. We were talking about Milan, and we were excited and enthused about the season ahead. I think we spoke last in September, so nice to be back after a really short stint. And thank you so much for having me back again.
No, we're delighted to have you back, Raj. Last time you were incredibly insightful, full of knowledge and analytics, and me and Gino were almost a little bit gobsmacked on just how good you were. So we're very, very, very happy to have you back. Gino, how you doing, mate?
I'm okay. I'm just more looking forward to Raj showing us up completely again.
That's how it is. That's how it is.
Out like an absolute 3-point performance, and we'll be like, sure.
Look, before we get into it, I just want to say a big thank you to Milan Extra, who prop us up with their fantastic graphics. If you don't already follow them on X, on Instagram, please do. They're great at real detailed passages and great at translating detail in English from Italian. So if you can, give them a follow. They're fantastic and they help us with our graphics. So look, guys, before we really get into the Cagliari game, the Genoa game, what's going on at Milan, transfer market, all that stuff, questions, Botti Canoli, we really want to hear from Raj and what his thoughts are. So when we were last on the pod all together, it was a prediction pod. We talked a little bit about where we thought Milan was heading, Allegri, the system, the players, the transfer mercato. We gave some sort of predictions of where we thought we might finish or where we might be by this point. So before we go into anything, Raj, why don't you take it away and just tell us what conclusions, if you can come up with any conclusions, have you come with since we last spoke, and where's your head at with the whole Milan stratosphere in terms of the play style, the performances, etc. Go for it, mate. You go for it. It's all yours.
Well, who would have thought that nearly halfway through the season, Milan would be a point off the top of the table? Surely I didn't. Allegri was handed a squad with a lot of newcomers, a lot of unknown quantities. We didn't really know what to expect from the team at that point in time. We were deliberating on the fortunes of this team, and in retrospect, Allegri seems to have quietened all the questions and speculation that surrounded him. We're 1 point off Inter, who are seeming like an unstoppable juggernaut. But have Milan really been exceptional on the pitch? Not really. So we've got about 28 goals for and 13 goals against, 38 points in 17 games. We are neither the best attack nor are we the best defense. In contrast to our 28 goals, Inter has 38 and Napoli have 26. Como have 26 and Bologna have 25. So we're kind of there and thereabouts, right? With regards to our defense, Allegri has certainly tightened the screws at the back, but Gasparini's Roma and Fabregas's Como have conceded fewer than us. Just a goal lesser, but still fewer. Napoli have conceded as many goals, and Lazio has conceded one more than us. So we're not really shooting into the stars with our performance. What Allegri has brought in is a very high level of efficiency compared to the coaches of last season. So when you look at what he's brought to the table from August onwards, we have 11 wins out of the 17 games that we've played, versus 7 wins of last season at the same time, last season after 17 games, which is a 65% win ratio versus a 41% win ratio. And if you think that, we're actually scoring a lot more goals, yeah, we're scoring practically roughly around the same number of goals. But what Allegri has managed to do is convert what would have been draws into wins. And last season, of course, we've had a lot more 3-0s, 4-0s, a lot more emphatic wins. Whereas this year, we've won about, I think, roughly 8 games out of the 11 that we've won by 1 goal margin. And I'm not just referring to 1-0s, I'm referring to any win that we've won by a goal. So we've been efficient, right? We've had 9 clean sheets this season, vis-a-vis 8 of last season. So what he's done is he's driven efficiency into the team. And how he's managed to do that is by, like I said, tightening the ball, strengthening the defense. I think he walked in and, just like the rest of us, realized that the team does not have high quality defenders. Perhaps they'd work best as a unit. So he's tried to mitigate and reduce the deficiencies in their individual game play by creating a well-rounded defensive unit. And I can dwell more into that if you're interested. And in terms of attack, while we're scoring goals, and if you look at goals per 90, 2 of the top 3 players in the league for goals per 90 are Pulisic and Leao. Pulisic is first and Leao is third, and Boni is in second place from Inter. But Pulisic and Leao, who have scored roughly, I think, about 14 goals so far this season, have contributed to 50% of the goals that Milan have scored. So it's a very targeted, focused way of playing, where you don't see a lot of goals coming from all across the team. There is a certain that Allegri is driving through his front men. The only problem there is Pulisic has played about 40% of the minutes that he could have played, and Leao has played about 48% of the minutes. When you compare that with the leading striker, or the leading player in the Capocannoniere table, that's Lautaro Martinez with 10 goals. He's played 85% of the minutes that he could play. So what would happen if Leao and Pulisic were more available is a fantasy that we can all dream about. Maybe we'd be performing a lot better from an attacking output perspective, but I don't think it would make much of a difference from a results point of view. I can definitely go deeper into how Allegri is playing if you're interested, but I think the key takeaway from what Allegri has brought to the team is efficiency, both in defense and in attack, which is why we sit pretty in second place, just a point shy of Inter.
How'd you follow that, Gino?
I mean, no one else wanted to come into this chat, just like that.
I think Raj, I think you're spot on. I think from an analytical sort of a data point of view, there is no arguing with numbers, is there? It's never an opinion, it's a fact. It's quite clear. You're right. Pulisic and Leao, we know haven't played as much as we'd like them to, but they have been incredibly efficient. If I look at that, we'll talk about the Cagliari game later, but I think that is the first shot on target in that game from Leao is the 1-0 win. And I think when you talk about efficiency and how Allegri's driven that throughout the team, that is just a small snippet of that. In terms of defence, I think you're right. We looked at that back three of Gabbia, Tomori and Pavlovic, and we went, how on earth is that a top 4 Serie A, 3 centre-back partnership? And actually, we kind of been proven a little bit wrong in terms of the way that it's set up, that lowering of Modric into this regista role, which we weren't sure he was going to do or not, the way that Rabiot complements Modric so well. The way that Fofana, although we take the mickey out of him, seems to do what he's meant to do. Although I would rather see Richie there, but it's all in this structured plan, in this distinction, in this essay of Allegri's way of working, which just happens to be organised and structured to make the team defend well. And I think that's the difference: working as a team, as a unit, a group this season, rather than last season. It's interesting when you talk about trying to really force through certain players like Pulisic and Leao, because last season we had Reinders, didn't we, who was carrying at points. And this season we've got two wingers who are playing as centre forwards who seem to be able to score. So there is definitely a lot in there about how Allegri has, I think, simplified things, made things very basic, taking them down to their core and being able to get those wins. And you're absolutely right. How many games have we won by a goal? Many. How many games have been horrendous to watch? Paint drying, sideways football. I think I said at one point with Gino, we were like, so watching paint dry in a public toilet. Like, you're literally there for 45 minutes, staring into the abyss. And you're kind of like, is the tactic to bore to death the team and then attack them when they don't know what's going on? And that looks like it sometimes, especially in that Cagliari game, or even the game where we won 3-0, against Verona. It's quite similar. So agree with everything you said. We expected boring paint drying football, let's be honest, we did, but we didn't expect the efficiency in defence and attack. And it's interesting when you say things like we've only had one more clean sheet than last season, because you would definitely say we're more solid this season than we were last season. So look, Raj, that's fantastic. Gino, anything you want to come in and sort of add on that?
No, I mean, the analysis is just remarkable. The more you actually think about what Raj has said, the more you kind of go, so why were we so shit last year? And I think that there's almost like two key points. There may be another one, but so the big interesting one is the fact that we've only won. Is it one game more than last year? You said no.
No, we have one more clean sheet than last season.
One more
So we
clean sheet than last
have
year.
9
Sorry,
this season versus 8 last year. We
Yeah.
had 11 wins we have 11 wins this season versus 7 last year,
Right.
after 17 games.
So it's the conversion of those draws to wins that have made this massive difference. Okay. And I think that is a very interesting telltale of what Allegri has done. So there is a bit of a belief, well, there is more of a belief of winning, right? Equally, picking up on what you said, Max, it's like allowing these two kind of wingers to be our strikers. It proves the point of what happens when you don't do the market properly and give the right kinds of players, that you have to invent something, you have to create something. And what actually Allegri did was, instead of saying, okay, so you're not going to give me my Vlahovic type of striker, somebody like that with that kind of, let's say, identikit, right? I want a solid, like 6-foot+ striker up there by themselves who can hold up the ball, who can take on a shot, almost like the very old school kind of like, I don't want to say Shevchenko, because Shevchenko was different. Shevchenko was unique, but that almost like the Bierhoff style, that if he had someone on their shoulder was fine, and if he didn't, he was fine.
Yeah.
Shevchenko could do a bit of everything, right? That's how special Shevchenko was. So it's almost like that traditional number 9, but lump of a number 9. In the modern game, almost a bit like a Harry Kane kind of player, yeah? So what did he do? He's got Modric, and he's got Rabiot. And I think that is what has been that whole efficiency marker. They are players with football IQs. So they have made it possible to play in that way and to manage the games that way. And that's what seems to really stand out for me once you then tie it up with the analysis of what you said, Raj. That efficiency is only possible if you've got players who know how to do that efficient thing. How many times has Rabiot, when we've not had Rabiot, we look less efficient with the ball. Modric has played nearly every game. you know, one of the greatest midfielders football seen. Certainly up there as one of the greatest of his generation ever. 6 Champions Leagues to himself, admittedly all at Real Madrid. But you've got to kind of just take a step and go, without that level-headedness, we're not as efficient. And therefore, the tactic has worked so far.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, he's fostering a culture, isn't he, Allegri? That's the difference. Whereas the Fonseca's and Conceição's, that wasn't the same.
My biggest worry and my biggest criticism about it is we could easily be complacent and say this will always continue. But just remember, we're only in one competition right now, right? We've seen what multiple competitions do with the likes of Conte, right? He has a meltdown. Allegri, yeah, he's got to the final of a Champions League, was it with Juventus? But prior to that, I don't think he ever got past the quarter-final stage.
Has he made 2 finals, Allegri?
Has he made 2 finals?
Yes.
Yes.
He lost Real Madrid and Barcelona, didn't he? Yeah.
That's right. My apologies. Okay. But multiple competitions, you need depth of squad. And we don't have that, right?
No. Absolutely.
So it's a really interesting analysis, right, man? Honestly, you've got the data and the numbers. What I'm interested in is then when you talk about the style of play, something that you said you could touch upon. Could you tell us what you've seen in the data, what you've seen in the numbers that makes you that's changed for us?
Sure. So let's start from the back, right? So from a defense standpoint, as you know, he sets up 3 centre backs. Like I said, that alleviates or mitigates the individual weaknesses that some of these centre backs have. So what we saw with these defenders last season is in a 2-man centre back pairing, they get exposed, which happens far less right now. Something that we completely take for granted is the work Modric does off the ball. You look at the numbers, he's always right up there with regards to tackles, interceptions, and recoveries. Just an example of a data point from the Cagliari game, which we'll touch upon later on, is he had the joint second highest recoveries for Milan against Cagliari, just behind Conny de Winter. So Conny de Winter had 7, Modric had 5, and then there were a bunch of other people who had 5. So Modric is doing a lot of work off the ball, and he sits deep. We didn't have that player last season. We were playing with a double pivot, with both players being 8s or 10s, masquerading as 8s. So he has this setup, which is pretty confined, right? What has that led to do? What has that resulted in, rather, sorry, is we are second highest in the league for ground duels won. We win a lot of ground duels. Yusuf Fofana is one of the best players in the league, data-wise, for recoveries on ground duels. And we are 4th highest for aerial duels won. So defensively, we're amongst the best in the league. When you look at how we defend from the front, I don't know how we should be looking at the statistic. It's working for us. It's working for the team in terms of points. But there is a very popular statistic, a very popular metric called PPDA, which is passes per defensive action. What that means is how many passes do you allow your opponent to make before you implement or execute a defensive action, which could be an interception, a tackle, or a recovery, right? Milan have the highest, which means that they don't press at all. In the league, they are the least pressing team in the entire league of the 20 teams that play in the league. In contrast, the team that presses the highest or which has the lowest PPDA is Como, right? So they play a very aggressive high press style. So if I have to put it in numbers, just for context, our PPDA is 16.8 and Como's is 8.3. it's almost twice as much pressing, right? And
So the
Inter,
lower the number, the more they press. Sorry.
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
yes, that's what it means. Yes,
Right.
that means
Okay.
that Como probably allows at an average 8 passes before they make uh, an action, a defensive action. We, on the contrast, probably do, on the contrary, we allow approximately 17 passes even before we attempt to win the ball back.
So we're allowing teams to come towards us
Yes,
so that we
yes,
can play a quicker or a deeper counter attack.
Spot
that's
on.
right. That's right.
Yeah. Yeah. And
So,
you do
so
see that as well. You do
Yeah.
see that.
yeah.
Yeah.
And that kind of contributes to the notion of Milan being boring because there is no intensity off the ball, right?
Yeah.
And so we just allow teams to play the way they want to, and then we soak in the pressure, and then we bam hit the teams on the counter. So even when you look at the possession stats, we're bang somewhere in the middle of the table in terms of possession. We're one of the top highest rated teams for possession. We don't keep the ball. And if you look at the crossing stats, so when we move in terms of from a defensive standpoint to an attacking position, even though we play with wing backs, you'd be surprised that we have, we are 18th in the league for crosses attempted. 18th in the league.
Yeah.
So we don't cross a lot. We play a lot of
that doesn't
direct,
surprise me.
quick.
No. Yeah, same. Because we don't have a number 9. Well, we have now, but we haven't had a number.
Yeah. Well, Fulkrug's not going to score with his head. Clip that, right, for when he does. Just clip that moment for when he does, right?
Hat trick of headers, I reckon.
If he gets a hat trick of headers, I know that's it. This podcast is over. Statistically, Roger's going to have to come on and defend me on this and go, over his whole career, he's never scored a hat trick of headers when Gino reverse cursed him. But it doesn't surprise me that we don't play crosses. It doesn't surprise me that our front two, say front three, are direct. They play direct. And what would almost be interesting would be to see like the volume of 1-2s or triangulation. Like if Optastats like did that, I mean there'd be some lad that is like some sort of like really I nearly said something so dodgy then, but some like really advanced AI that's counting that kind of stuff, because it wouldn't surprise me that that's what we do to open up space, because that's what Modric does. If you see what Modric does, Modric probably will have one of the highest ball touches per game, because he plays the 1-2 to open up space in front of him.
Yeah, he does. Spot on. Yeah.
Every time. Whereas Rabiot, it's not the 1-2. Rabiot is the runs into space to receive and lay off, and then run off into space again or tracks back. So the fact that we're not crossing is interesting is an interesting stat, but it speaks again to we don't have the player profile to do that. So defensively we've got this where we've got the 3 centre backs. We've got Modric that sits in front of them that's doing a lot of the work, the tackles and everything else. What about the likes of, well, what was Estepinian, now is Batisagi and Salemakas? Is there anything which is coming out from the data or the stats there that we can already pick out of?
Not quite in terms of stats, but in terms of the way they play, right? So what happens is when a Batisaki or Estepinian make a forward run, you have the left central midfielder almost falling into their position. So you don't get exposed on the counter that much. So a lot of goals, if you've noticed Milan conceding them, are rarely from a counterattack because they're always well positioned. They're players who are always falling into place when another player moves forward. So why do we suddenly seem better at left back is not because Batisaki or Estupinan have been super, but Batisaki has been a revelation, but it's because the dirty work that Rabiot does on the left-hand side. It's because of the dirty work that Ruben Loftus-Cheek or Yusuf Fofana do on the right-hand side. It's because now you actually have a proper wing back in Alexis Saelemaekers and not, someone like a Emerson Royale sticking up the pitch on the right-hand side. So you have the right personnel in the right positions who have specific roles to play. And Allegri has been very, very vocal about this. He says, defenders defend, midfielders midfield, and strikers attack. Right. And that sort
Yeah.
of translates into what I was saying, where the front two of Milan have scored 50% of the goals that Milan has scored so far this season. So we are very low on crosses, which is why you don't see Batizaghi, Estupinan, or Salamakers really racking up the assists like a typical right wing back or a left wing back would do. In contrast, you look at the numbers for Di Marco at Inter. He's doing extremely well because a lot of the attack runs through him. But what we do is, from an attacking standpoint, we've not scored a truckload of goals like Inter have, and we've not scored a whole lot more goals or fewer goals than last season. If you actually look at where we rank in the table from an attacking standpoint, we're 11th in the league for shots, 11th, but we have the highest XG per shot, so expected goals per shot, and conversion rate of anybody in the league, which is a marvelous statistic, right? So 11th in the league for the total number of shots, but highest expected goals per shot and highest conversion rate, which again goes back to the theme of Allegri's style of football, which is efficiency. You're not going to see the goal being peppered with a lot of shots, but when we get into that position, we convert. Just to sort of touch on what Max was saying about Leao's goal against Cagliari, you'll be interested to know that the expected goal on his shot was 0.17, and the expected goal on target, so an expected goal is a pre-shot tactic, expected goal on target is a post-shot tactic. So if somebody had shot from that position with the goalkeeper being in the position that he is, what are the chances that it has translated into a goal? That's the post-shot tactic, which is expected goals on target. That was 0.65, which means 65% of the time somebody in Leao's position has shot that shot has scored a goal. So it's not like a high opportunity, a big chance that he couldn't miss, right? It's not like what Jonathan David did against Sassuolo, where he basically rolled it into the back of the net. So what we are doing is, when we are shooting, and I think even that particular statistic has been unfortunately very badly diluted of Yusuf Fofana shooting for the Stars whenever he gets a chance.
Yeah.
Most of the times, it's because we are in a position to score and we convert. And we don't miss as many chances as we used to do last season. Going back to Gino's question as to why did we suck last year? We were sucking last year because we weren't converting our chances. This year, the few chances that we do get, we put ourselves into that position. We know we're going to create very few chances, and we make sure that we convert it. That results in the wins. So that's essentially Allegri's gameplay summarized. It's pretty simple. If you go back to Allegri's comments and remarks, he's always tried to make football seem far simpler than it honestly is. He says it's not as complicated. You just basically have to put the ball in the back of the net, and tactics is overrated. But when you actually break down the way Milan are playing and look at the numbers, it is very simple. Keep it tight in defense. Don't don't pepper the ball forward. Don't lose possession. When you get a chance, attack and convert the chance that you get. It's that simple.
Okay, I've got one last thing to ask you, quick fire answer, and then we'll move on because we've got a few bits to go through. So, do you think, Raj, this is sustainable?
That's my question with Allegri. That's been my question with Allegri for a very long time, and that continues to be my question, right? Look at sustainability from a winning or a title winning perspective. We're not even halfway through the season. If you look at 19 games being the halfway mark, we entered the season with 3 competitions to play for, if you consider the Supercoppa as a competition. And we've exited the Supercoppa and the Coppa Italia at a very nascent stage, right? We're in the league. It's almost by design now that.
Can I just say something on that? I think that was totally on purpose.
So do I. Yeah, that's planned.
I
100%.
genuinely, if you could bet, I mean, you could bet obviously for them to lose it, but if you could have bet at any given stage if Allegri was going to put any importance on those things, I literally would have stuck my house on it and gone, no, not at all. Because, okay, if he thought, right, I can improve my win rate this year versus last year by 20%, I know I'm in the top three. Yeah, by 20%, I know I'm in the top three. Is that doable? Are 1-0s available? Are they? Yeah. Okay. Right. Tick that off. So straight away you go, okay, Super Coppa. Who cares? Who cares?
So why I feel like that might have been the management's perspective. I have an opinion that Allegri is a winner. I don't think he has signed up to be at Milan to just finish top four. And if you look at his record with the cups, it's a fairly envious record that he's had. So when you see his record from 2015 to 2018, he won 4 Coppa Italias in a row. And he's won 2 Supercoppas from 2015 to 2018. So this was in his heyday, of course. Just around that time is when he also landed up. He took Juventus to 2 Champions League finals too around the same time. So I feel like those were trophies that Milan realistically had a chance of winning. I don't think the league is a title that they're realistically pegging their chances on, or they realistically think they can win. Allegri constantly keeps mentioning that they're trying to secure a top four spot, and he keeps tempering the expectations. He recently said, I think just yesterday, prior to the match, in the pre-match press conference, he mentioned that to win the league, you need to have about 86 to 88 points. We're currently sitting at 38 with 2 more games to go. So even if we win the next 2 games, that would put us at around 44 points, and we will have to replicate that form for the second half of the season for us to achieve the target that he says is required to win the Scudetto. So can we do that with Leao and Pulisic being doubtful, not playing as many minutes, Milan not investing in a proven striker to bang in the goals, Jimenez not being available, we're not being sure of who's going to come to shore in the defense, where we've been very lucky that our defenders have mostly been fit, and Gabia has been ably deputized by Coney de Winter. But can you bet your house on Coney de Winter being steady? There are a lot of variables, a lot of questions with regards to individual player quality, which will define consistency, right? We don't have that many match winners. Modric is going to soon run out of gas. He's played so much football. And like I said, he's not a ceremonial player. He's actually, putting in the miles. He's putting in the hard work. Rabiot had to slightly take some time off to recharge his batteries and come on board. Fofana has been hit and miss. Who do we have outside of that? Richie has to still warm up to the team. We still don't know whether Yashari is going to take time to settle in. There are a lot of variables. So, in principle, what Allegri is trying to achieve is possible, but does he have the quality available to him, available at his disposal to make that happen? That remains to be seen, and I'm doubtful about that, to be honest.
Yeah, I don't think it's sustainable. I think there's those really bad first halves will eventually come back to bite us. You can't score off your first shot and win 1-0 or win by a goal every game. So I think eventually it is going to come back on us. But 5 million a year with 22 players to come top four, I think he's like I said last time, I think he's hit the jackpot, to be honest. And I think he knows that as long as he's in that top four, whether he's won Coppa Italia, Super Coppa, he's safe, he's fine, he's done a miracle. And I think that's kind of what he's betting on. But you're right, Allegri is Allegri. And if he could win that Scudetto with the team that he has, I think that would be probably one of his biggest achievements, if I'm really honest. Right, let's move on, guys. Yeah, exactly. Right, let's move on. So really quickly, just want to get your take on this. Me and Gina kind of talked about it, Raj, but what do you think of this signing then? I mean, I don't think it's the solution to all of our problems, but what do you think?
I think it's an astute signing. I'm not a huge fan of Fulkrug. I feel, he's a striker of a generation that doesn't exist any longer. The modern striker is a lot more dynamic, a lot more mobile, but he provides something that we don't have in the squad, which is a conventional center forward, right? With somebody who can play with his back to goal. Cassano just recently remarked on Liao not being able to do so, but there's no one in the squad who's capable of doing that. Even Jimenez can't play that way. So I think he's not somebody you sort of start with and hope will bang in 10, 15 goals a season. He is an option to have when you want to solve a particular problem, when you want to break down a very rigid defense, and you want to ping balls into the box, and you want somebody to kind of, bring to sort of be a reference point for direct play. He is the most suited to do that in the squad currently, and given the monies involved, he's on loan. It's a dry loan with a possibility of converting it to permanency for about 5 million euros, which is a throwaway price. He doesn't cost a lot in wages either, so it's a low risk signing. But I'm not sure he alone would suffice. I think we need more firepower if we are to make a genuine attempt at trying to win the title.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, that's a really good point. We talked about this, Gino. Is anything you want to add on it, or should we move on?
If he ends up being like Giroud and nets us like God knows like 10, 12, 15, 20 goals, then brilliant. If he doesn't, like Raj just said, it's an astute signing. He does one thing better than most other attackers in Europe: the assists. His assists are huge, and maybe that is something that the data boys have looked at and gone, we kind of need somebody that does that. But for me personally, would I have gone for him? No. That's me.
No, I agree. Stopgap thing. He's not going to start games over Leo and Pulisic.
Go to Brazil, find the 16, 17-year-old Pato, right? Next gen kind of lad, right? In the favelas, whatever it is, right? Just go, you look decent. Have you ever played with boots? No, come with me.
Oh, God.
Team on a pitch, right? Do you know what I mean? Like, you might as well have a punt at that if you're genuinely going to do it, or you bring back Kamada.
Yeah, which is probably the longer term. Yeah,
you've got options, but right now, if that's all right, fine. Okay.
Right, I'm going to fly through this Cagliari game. So this is your starting 11: Magnan, Tomori, De Winter in for the injured, Gabbia, Bartazaghi in for the fevered Pavlovic, Salamakers, and Stupinian in as the wing backs for Fana, Modric and Rabiot in that familiar three. And then we had Ruben Loftus-Cheek doing his best pantomime version of a second striker. Oh, no, he didn't. Oh, yes, he did. Just behind Leo up top. So this was our starting formation. And let's just talk through the game. So, look, the result will flash up here on the right now. It was a 1-0 win in typical Allegri fashion. First 90 seconds, 3 chances from Cagliari, Prati, Palestra, and then Prati again. Really unlucky from them not to score straight away. Awful first half of football. Boring, paint dry, sideways, all the things you can think of. I think I wrote asleep, limp, boring, sideways. Estupiñán was awful, nothing in attack, shaky at the back. And I kind of expected a shaky back with like Estupiñán and Bartazaghi and all that sort of stuff. Shaky back. Yeah, that's right, Gino. The only real thing that happens is penalty for Milan on RLC towards the end of the first half. VAR overturns it for an offside in the build-up for Leao. And that is the first half. It was so fucking awful, guys. Horrible watch. Second half, much better start. And again, this is kind of what I was saying. Like, it's like we bore people into like submission for 45 minutes. And then second half, we're like, right, let's go. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think in my Substack piece, I said, Allegri tried to put, tried to like put to sleep the Cagliari team, the Cagliari audience, but he missed and got his own players and us watching at home. And that's kind of how it felt for the first half. Second half, much better, much more alert. That anaesthetic wore off. Alexis cross, RLC header in the 48th minute. He headers it over. A minute later, it's a really good pass from Fofana. From Fofana, straight through the middle, almost like a split pass. Great inch perfect cross by Rabiot across the Leao, and kind of leathers it, deflected off the keeper and the defender into the back of the goal. And it's a 3-pass attack, really. Fofana, Rabiot, Leao, 1-0, fantastic. We're in the ascendancy for the entirety of the last part of the game, but it is our first shot, first goal. 69th minute, Richie comes on for Fofana and Fulcro gets his debut. Comes on for Leao, a tired Leao who hadn't played in a month, and you could see that in his pace and the way that he was running. 79th minute, Pulisic comes on for RLC and Gabbia comes on for a run out. Instead of a Stupinian, Bartosegui moves across, Gabbia into the middle. There's a great chance for Pulisic in the 86th minute with his left foot, saved by the keeper. Really good pass by Fulcro to give him that opportunity. And Modric nearly does it with a naughty little free kick, which he tries to sort of second guess the keeper. The keeper makes a great save. Now, the only thing I want to talk about in this game is just this. So this has caused some controversy in Italy. So everyone is trying to claim this as a handball and a penalty that should have been given to Cagliari. Really quickly, my take, he can't even see where the ball is. I don't know how that is a penalty. I don't know how that is an intentional handball. Raj, what are your thoughts on this before we move on?
Well, the logic or the rule is applicable when someone tries to make their body unnaturally larger than it should be while trying to defend a shot. I don't see him trying to make his body unnaturally larger. On the contrary, I think he's trying to constrict his arm. So, and like you said, he's not even looking at the ball. So there is, of course, a separate angle of intent. I don't see intent either, which is why I think it wasn't ruled or deemed as a penalty. So it's a non-issue in my opinion.
Yeah, Gino?
No comment.
No comment. I'll tell you about some comments though, because we do like to have a bit of fun on this podcast. So this is an Inter fan on X. Rocky che si fa? Le diamo queste dimensioni o continuiamo con un regolamento personam in cui il Milan è tenuto in testa da continui sfaloni arbitrali. È una roba allucinante. So basically this is an Inter fan saying, when is the referee boss gonna leave? Or they're just going to keep making these favours for Milan. And this was the MLM Podcast's reply to him. What are you? You're an idiot sandwich.
Did he reply to that?
No, he didn't. Of course he didn't. Little bitch. Right, so in just the stats to go through the Cagliari game, we were the dominant team. Let's just be clear. After the second half, we were in complete dominance. We should have had more goals. We should have won this game a bit more. The first half was all like atrocious. Possession better, shots on target better, total shots better, total passes better, pass accuracy better. Less fouls, less yellow cards, more corners. Dominating style of game, just boring. I think is kind of what we've gone on. Something great as well.
I had to study 19th century Russian economics, for my degree, like 20 plus years ago. I would rather be back in that room listening to the most monosyllabic man ever to lecture human beings than watch another 90 minutes like that in my life.
Yeah.
He was so soporific, right? That game is so boring. If you operated heavy machinery afterwards, I'd be worried.
Yeah, you shouldn't. You shouldn't do anything that requires any legal compliance.
Nothing that is challenging in any way, shape, or form, in thought or physicality.
Yeah.
If you thought like, yeah, Mike, even like, let's just say, you're with your other half, you might think, don't even try. You'll fall asleep. You'll just fall asleep. It's taken all the energy out of you.
I'll tell you what you could do well, though.
Go on.
Watch paint dry in a public toilet.
Okay, George Michael, keep talking.
Let's go. I mean, that is wrong on so many levels, Gino. But anyway, right, so a tradition that just won't stop. So Leao has scored the first goal for Milan in all of these years, Gino, sometimes. 2021 versus Benevento, 21-22 Roma, 22-23 Salernitana, 23-24 Cagliari, 24-25 Como, and 25-26 Cagliari. And Cagliari is one of his favourite teams to score against. So just thought I'd share that. Right, the league table, gents, as it stands.
You can actually see him aging.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, you can. Yeah, and always different hairstyles as well. Impressive.
We managed to beat Cagliari last year. We couldn't across both
you're
games.
Right.
We drew,
Well,
so we
like
actually managed to beat them.
Isn't that the game where we beat Real Madrid, drew against them, and then Fonseca comes out and says, "Well, it's much easier to play against Real Madrid than it."
Real Madrid.
I remember that.
Fonseca, my God.
I mean, the irony is, last season we couldn't beat them in both the games that we played against them, and the season before that we thrashed them 4-1 and 5-1. And
It's one or the other.
Just ups and downs in the performances, results, and goals.
So this is the league table, gents. I took it a bit earlier today. There are teams playing tonight, so this might change. Obviously, Inter top 39, Milan second on 38, Napoli in third on 37, Juventus in fourth, albeit with 2 additional games on 36. Roma on 36 again with 2 extra games. Como, you'll find them in 6th on 33, and then Bologna sort of struggling a bit lower down on 26. Atalanta starting to come up the table a bit, and Lazio and Sassuolo who are doing really well. Sassuolo. So for me, I never expected Milan to be this high at this point. I'll happily say that I was completely wrong. Napoli, where I thought they'd be near the top. Inter, again, where I thought they'd be. Kivu, me and Gino said this the other week. Kivo saying that, people thought they were going to be 10th. What a load of bollocks. No one thought that at all. Roma doing okay under Gasperini. A little bit relented recently, but doing okay. Juventus picked up with Luciano Spalletti now. And Como, I kind of thought they'd be there or thereabouts, so the dark horse. So, Raj, what have you got for me? Anything you want to sort of shout out looking at this league table?
Yeah, well, now that Juventus have a serious coach, I think we might want to keep an eye out on them. They've won 4 of their last 5 games. They're playing Cremonese next, and I would expect them to win that too. Of course, there's a huge game coming up this weekend right at the top of the table, so things could look slightly different. But I think it's important to keep an eye out on Juventus. Roma might add some firepower through Xerxes and a couple of other signings this season. So things might look very interesting at the end of January. So it'll be nice to look at the table and sort of predict the way forward once the winter mercato is ended as well.
Spot on.
Shout out to Bologna. I mean, they seem to have found a new wave of life, a new lease of life with the way they're playing. Everyone thought that after the Motta left, they would essentially crumble and fall away, but they seem to be doing quite well.
Yeah. Gino?
I mean, the fact that 1st and 5th are separated by just a victory, it says everything, doesn't it? The fact that 1st is 39, Milan 2nd 38, Napoli 37 on 3rd, Juventus and Roma both joint 36 points there. It's a proper league. It's not like the Premier League. It's not like La Liga. It's not like La Liga. It's not, this Farmers League, which every single professional that plays in it says, people that have played in the Premier League, people that have played in La Liga, they all say the same thing. It's harder to win in Italy. You look at that.
Mm-hmm.
You tell me it's not hard. Yeah, we might not have the most attractive football in terms of the league itself, but technically and tactically, I think it is a great advert, and I think it's an absolute dog shit management board at Fidget that does not know how to absolutely do any kind of marketing or sales or anything to promote the league much better than what it currently does. You know, you want to talk competition, that's competition.
Yeah.
You want excitement? We've got club presidents that literally, you know, they fire a coach on a Monday and rehire him on a Thursday. You want excitement. We've got excitement for you. You want batshit? We've got batshit. Okay, maybe we've got a few issues in terms of playing style and everything else, but I'll tell you what, it's much more interesting than bloody, oh, look at me, I'm going to give a 6-year contract to a manager that's only 41. You know, it's just mental how we don't seem to actually reward ourselves. And when you look at that table, I mean, we were saying Coma were going to be like a bit of the dark horse. I still think that Coma will be the dark horse, but I don't think they'll probably break into the top 4 now. I think that's almost kind of, I think what we got first to fifth is going to be what our top 4 are going to be, right? It's just going to be a mixture of where they all end up in the end. Like you say, Raj, Juventus, a big one coming up. You've got Roma. Again, Gasparini was unlucky with one of those games. Had they had won it, they'd be joint top. That's how close it is. The fact that Atalanta have actually now got a good manager in there. And by the way, Gasparini has been accused again of calling another manager.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, I saw that.
Right?
It's only our manager gets fined for stuff like that.
It's only our manager that gets fined for stuff like that. But also equally, just saying, like, it doesn't offend me if somebody calls me terrone. I've got friends in Milan. They've only dared to do it once because they know what happens to them when they do call me that. But it's because they're intellectually, you know, incapable of finding any other kind of thing to take the piss out of. It's really easy to take the piss out of Gasparini. He basically looks like, you know, a drug version of, like, you know, a cleaned up version of Santa. That's all he is for me. You know. So it's just like, you know.
I thought you were going to say something else.
I've got plenty of other things.
Yeah, I thought you were going to say something else.
Well, you know, I mean, he doesn't look like Joseph Fritzl, but he's certainly got, you know, certain things going on for him. So I'm just saying.
Okay.
There it is.
Okay. Yeah, I agree. The FIGC couldn't run a bath. Right.
Max, just before you move on, if you could just put the table back on, right?
Yeah.
Something that while you're looking at the table, just look at the column on the losses. And that's something to be extremely proud about.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
17 games and 1 loss, 1 defeat.
Do you know what's worse, though, Raj? The draws and the defeats are games where we're like, we should have probably won those.
Yeah.
You know, apart from Atalanta, which I think that was a fair draw, we should have beat Juve, we should have beat Pisa, we should have beat Parma, we should have beat Cremonese. So we could easily be quite complacent that we are second by 1, but we really should be higher up.
Right.
To be honest.
But I know. But just look at the team above us and below us, right?
Yeah.
Would you rather have drawn the games that you have and lost 4 matches totally so far, like Inter have and Napoli have, or being because we are roughly in this, like Gina was saying, separated by a point. I take immense pride in the fact that we've only once have lost a game in 17 matches, and I wouldn't want to lose 4 games. I wouldn't want to lose 25% of the games I play. That's what I'm trying to say.
No, I mean, that is the cleanest version of Would You Rather I've heard in the last few weeks. So it really is. But you are right. I mean, like, the amount of draws that we have, the only one that's really comparable in that top 5 is Juventus, right? It's Juventus, who were only sitting 2 points away from us.
But they played 2 more games.
Yeah, we've got 2 games in hand, though. Yeah.
Oh yeah, we do, don't we? Sorry, yeah. But you know, it's just one of those where you look at it and you look at this whole system, and it just is. It just, yeah. Carry on, Max. Carry on.
Right, so this is a graphic I did a while ago on Magmanyan and his contract renewal, and it looks like it might be there or thereabouts. So it sounds like he is going to extend his contract now. He's going to take, I think it will take him to one of the highest paid. I've heard different numbers to this. There's a couple of rumours floating, but it sounds like he might become the highest paid player at Milan, who will renew until 2031, I think I've read, essentially signing his football life, I guess, to AC Milan. So I'm quite happy about that. I wanted this done a bit sooner, but keeping one of the best keepers in the world for that salary for another 4 years, you're not going to find anything better. What do you think, Raj and Gino? Thoughts?
I have a slightly controversial take on this, right?
Go
So, of course, we shouldn't be losing him for free. I mean, drawing a parallel with Crystal Palace and Marquay, they rejected an offer to sell the guy for £65 million in the summer, and now are willing to basically sell him for whatever comes their way because his contract's expiring in 6 months. We don't want to be in a situation like that with Mainan. So it's great that the management is getting him to put pen to paper and keeping him at the club. My question is he the right keeper to have at that cost if Allegri is going to be the coach of the team going forward? Because Maignan is a ball-playing goalkeeper, right? What Allegri simply doesn't make the most of him and the attributes that make him one of the best in the world. There's a lot more to his game than what we are currently deriving from him. So currently, all we actually gauge him on is how many goals is he stopping, and how many times is he helping us, either draw a match or win a game. But there's so much more to him. And if he's going to be earning as much as he does, and we're a club that counts every penny that we pay, the question I want to throw out is it better that we renew him and move him on in the summer and get a goalkeeper who's actually damn good at the very primary job of a goalkeeper, which is shot stopping, and direct those funds and those wages to another player somewhere up the team? That's what I'm thinking.
Do you want to go first, Gino?
Yeah. Do you know what? Weirdly, I've had the similar thought over the last few weeks when it's been under suspicion that he might move. He is an absolutely superb keeper. We know that, right? He does every now and again make a little bit of a foible, but then he completely redeems himself. But like Raj is saying, he's a ball-playing keeper. And we've got some really interesting young keepers in our youth squad who are more shot stoppery, full stop, right? Now, I'm not saying that that's the solution, but the logic that Raj has put across is if you can use that money to get yourself better strikers, the Modric replacement, better defender, you kind of almost want to focus more on that. That said, we are a club that's got a lot of money. We can more than afford the players for all those other positions. It's just we're making a choice not to. We're making a conscious choice to not do that. We can have Maignan and these other players. But what Raj's hypothesis and mine have been drawing to is like, yeah, but we're being presented with it's either one or the other. And actually, I think that's where this management has done incredibly well at gaslighting the crap out of all of us.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
We have been, honestly, we have believed the lie that has been told to us about ourselves. That is literal gaslighting. We have been told we have no money. We believe it. So therefore we say, so let's get rid of one of our best players, right? Rather than, lads, don't we still have like 70 million from like a few of the players that we've sold recently?
Yeah.
Surely we can have all of this.
Yeah.
So weirdly, I disagree with you, Raj, and I'll tell you why. So Mannion, to me, yes, he is a good ball-playing keeper, and yes, that is an attribute you think, is that going to work with an Allegri style or system? But he's more than that. He's a leader. He's the captain of the team. He is the veteran. He is the voice of reason. Modric, yeah, but he won't be there for another 2 years. Mike, in the next 4 or 5 years, not only can he be the keeper, not only is that position a position where someone can age well in, he can also be the teacher to the Torrianis, to the keepers that come through the ranks. When they start to begin games, he can be that second keeper. That, do you know what I mean? Like, I think there's a much longer term strategy piece here. If Milan were so actually intelligent once in a while to think, what could they actually get out of this keeper? And he is not just, I think, a good ball playing keeper. He's a great shot stopper. He can save penalties. He can do those impossible things. He can come out. He can charge down. He can header the ball. He can make a slide tackle. He can do. I think he's an. If I let's say, knowing Milan, Torriani isn't going to be the next keeper. If this guy went, they're going to go spend 15 million, 20 million on a keeper. Yeah. That is way more than paying this guy, I think, his wages the next 3 years. So for me personally, I think this is a no-brainer. But I completely get what you're saying. Absolutely.
I almost see Torriani being actually like the second keeper, right, for like another season or whatever, and then being sent away, like on loan, but to almost like kind of like Atletico, something like that, right? I just said Atletico as a thing. I mean, remember when they did it with Abbiati? They did it with Abbiati for a few years. He came into the side, then they sent him away because they got Dida, came back, right? Well, they sold him on and then basically bought him back and all that. There's nothing to say that they can't do that with like Torriani. He goes to like a Fiorentina. He goes to one of these kind of clubs where there is a bit of prestige, so he understands the pressure and everything else. But he comes back and he comes back better. So I do get that. I just do think that both elements of logic do exist for this scenario.
Yeah.
But I do think that the biggest problem we've had is a management which are, feeble, feckle, gaslighters, live in New York, no sense of reality, believe that we're somehow like the New York Yankees. They just picked out Milan on the map because they have no idea of anything else, pretend to be Billy Big Bollocks, know-it-alls, absolutely useless, gave the abacus to some like young lad who's an accountant who doesn't know anything about football, and just went, let's just pretend we do know something about football. And then they make one or two like little sly moves, which tricks us all after like disastrous years. We've got a social media influencer who used to be one of our greatest ever strikers, who like every now and again just pops up, says something dumb in a bloody, magazine interview, and then like disappears again. Nobody knows what he does anymore. He's like there paddle, with his paddle clubs in Sweden going, oh, why is this not working anymore? Nobody knows because amazingly, flooded the market, you bell end, right? It's just like we have just been lied to consistently about how our team does have no money, right? And it's almost like when you listen to crypto bros, they always tell you about the wins, but they never tell you about their losses. That's what it feels like with this management. Just to find the crypto bros as well now.
Right, moving on. Yeah. So just really quickly, there's also talk of Tomori extending his contract as well, which would probably be quite welcomed given the way he's playing at the moment. And then lastly, if this loads, there is a rumor that is linking Loftus-Cheek to Lazio. Obviously, he played under Sarri for Chelsea, won the Europa League. Sarri's a good admirer of him, and Milan apparently are saying no, and that's an Allegri thing. I can kind of see why. If I could sell it, Ruben Loftus-Cheek, I would. But I think at this moment, this part of the season, probably not a good idea. So that's that. Any thoughts on this before we move on? Nope. Right. Okay.
Right. Would get rid.
Get rid.
Disagree. Would get rid. Just get rid.
Yeah.
Just annoy me. Just go to Lazio. Show us how good you could be. Right. Make every Milan forum and Twitter monster honestly come out saying we got rid of him only for for free or whatever, whatever it is, right? I don't care. I just hate the way that guy plays. Go do your dancing on TikTok, lad. I don't want you in my team. Piss off.
He's
Don't care.
he's the most nearly could be, should be player I've ever seen. All the physical attributes to be an absolute monster, can't do anything.
Yeah.
Ridiculous. Right,
Yes.
Genoa game. So we've got Genoa tomorrow night, 7:45 at the San Siro. They are 17th.
Lega Calcio. What the hell? You're making us play tomorrow night and then you're making us play on Sunday.
Yeah, cheers.
What the hell?
Yeah,
what the hell?
One
Who
game
cares?
a week. You know, who cares?
One game a week. Yeah. Let's just see what it's like.
Inter, you have what you want. Juve, yeah.
Well, you've got to thank them for a Super Coppa in the middle of the season and the back of beyond for this. Actually, that's the reason we're doing this. That's the reason why we're being put in this position. We're making up the games for having gone behind the schedule.
Why can't we just play all of our games in Australia? That's what I'm asking.
Sorted. I'd like to go in between New Zealand and Australia. One game.
Just between the two. Why do we care anymore?
Why? Who cares? Who cares? So 7:45, San Siro. They're 17th at the moment, Genoa, 15 points. I've had a bit of change with the coaches. They've gone from Patrice Patrick Vieira to Daniele De Rossi. In their last 5 games, they've won 1, drawn 1, lost 3. However, they did beat Udinese. They drew against Pisa, which we know is hard. And they have lost against Inter, Atalanta and Roma. So to be fair to them, it's not that they've been dropping points unfriendly. They play the 3-5-2. Some of the players to watch out for is Ostergaard at the back, who's quite a fierce centre-back. They also have Frendrup, who we've been linked to. Thorsby, who was quite controversially a Sampdoria player formerly. Malinovsky, who's done a bit of a move around, he's quite a good player. And then obviously Colombo, who's technically our player on loan, but I think I'm not sure if they'll buy him or not. He could come back. And Oliveira, who's a good and up-and-coming centre forward. Predictions, or my predictions for our starting 11 are this, and we have had some rumours about some changes as well. So Manyan in goal, it sounds like De Winter will start over Tomori, Gabbia and Pavlovic. Sounds like we're going to have Salad and Bartazaghi as the wing backs. We could see Modric out. That's the rumour. And Yashari could come in. We could see one between Fofana and Richie. And it looks like we're still going to see Rabiot. And then we could see Leao and Pulisic start this one. But it's still very touch and go. These are some of the words from Allegri today in his presser. If all goes well today and tomorrow morning, they should start. They're not at full fitness yet. Pulisic has a recurring flexor issue. Leao has an abductor problem, but everyone must play well as a team. These months are important to reach March calmly and in best condition. Who would have known that playing once a week does need more players and depth and quality? Who would have known that? Not us. Right. Thoughts and predictions. I'm going for a classic 1-0 win. What about you, Rash?
Well, it's going to be scrappy. It's going to be really scrappy. I think that midfield is quite underrated. You've mentioned all the players in that midfield already: Thorsby, Fendrup, and Malinovsky. Some really good players there in that team. De Winter goes back to Genoa for the first time since arriving from that club in the summer as well. So he'll be up to show his former club how good he is. I'm just wondering where the goals are going to come from. Mr. Balloon Man's not going to be available. He's been ruled out. We don't know what the fitness levels are of the other players.
Ruled out with Turkey, right? I see.
So I think it's going to be a very scrappy game. I will have to warn Gino of almost a retelling of the Cagliari game. That's what we're going to see, I feel, and I'm very worried about that. We were talking about sustainability and consistency. Well, games like these are going to test that. It's games like these where we'll have to find a way to break down a difficult team, which is going to sit back and defend against us, and we'll have to find a solution without adequate firepower. So if we do manage a gritty, boring 1-0, I'd be happy.
Right, kids, put your money on this. By the way, do not put your money on this. I'm saying 2-1. And I'm saying Fulkrug with assist and goal.
Oh, nice.
Right. Raj has just, for those listening, we can all see each other, right? And Raj has just pulled the kind of face that I pull when I get a delivery from Rafa Cycling Gear. By the way, Rafa, you are more than welcome to sponsor this pod. Even though we've never talked about cycling, but I just feel like we should.
Thank God.
Harsh. Or Lucky Saint also. And I'm saying 2-1 because I think you mentioned the Cagliari striker, the up-and-comer. Oliveira, is it? I really like the look of him. I really like the look of him. He looks so good. Genuinely looks so good. And he looks like a handful. He looks like one of those where you can go like, oh, okay. So I'm saying 2-1, but I am saying a really boring 2-1. Almost like we scored the 2 goals and we're like, how did that happen?
Fulkrug is cutting the labels out of his shirt and he is twitching something into the back of the net off a corner. That's what's going to happen.
And then I see him being injured for the rest of the season.
Gratati, as you say. Right. Okay.
Just a shout out for Norton Cuffy, who Gazzetta claim we are interested in. Little known fact. I mean, our obsession with English players continue. So he's, as per my understanding, an Arsenal graduate. And he plays for Genoa now. So he's a typical modern, athletic, aggressive, robust, quick and pacey right wing back, very strong in the tackle. I've not seen a lot of him, and I don't think it's a fair comparison because there is none other like this player that I'm referring to, which is Adama Traore. But I think he's somewhat like that. So he just basically likes to bulldoze himself into challenges and players. So keep an eye out on him tomorrow. Maybe that interest develops over a period of time.
What do we need defensive depth for when we've got Odugu and Atakami? Right.
Well, clearly he's supposed to be the replacement for Atakami. We decided to plonk 17 million euros over those 2 players who've barely seen the pitch. Odugu has played for 4 minutes this season.
But Atakami scored a goal in that 2.
Yeah, he did.
It's mental. Right, so we're going to move on to Botti Canoli. We've got Pavle Minga, and then we've got one question and we'll wrap up because we have gone on a bit. So, look, this is my first Canoli of the week. The rumoured AC Milan kit. If this is next season's home kit, I'm buying it. Take my money. I don't give a shit how much it is. That is absolutely... the simplicity is the beauty for me. Thoughts on this, gents?
I like it. I'm wearing something similar. I would love to wear something like that. I think we've played around a lot with the jersey, and I would love to go back to something that's simple. I just hope the second and the third kits don't make up for the simplicity of this kit. I would hate to see them plodding around in pink, magenta kits as well. So I'm also interested in how they shape up in the other kits too.
Gino.
Well, I said it to you, didn't I, in the chat? That basically I would remove this jacket and have that straight away. I also think though if the second and third kit was a white kit that resembled it and resembled the one which is based off. Have you got it? Yeah,
that's the away kit, I'm having that as well. The third kit looks horrific though. The third kit looks awful.
As expected.
Like black with pink and stuff. It looks awful.
Right. I don't see. Do you know what I think we should go to for the third kit? We should either go to the blue or the yellow.
Blue. We should do blue. Blue.
Because that blue kit is arguably one of my favourite ever kits of all kits, right? And to think that we're, I mean, it's not like the blue shite across the city that we're talking about. We're talking about, an AC Milan blue. It's more like a royal blue, not that dirty dishwater blue.
Well, look, I think the only kit that looks good in pink and black is Balladmore, so we should leave that to it. But anyway, right, so this is another canoli of mine. Whenever I see these two players together, you can't be but happy. Childhood dreams relived, like absolute icons. So, yeah, there's not much more to say on that, I think. A Botti for me, we kind of touched on this earlier. This is incredibly insecure man, which is Antonio Cassano at the moment. He must have a really small penis because all he does is talk about Leao. Leao può fare anche 7 gol,
Apparently
non mi
slept with
frega.
1,000 women. Apparently slept with 1,000 women.
Yeah, 1,000. Let's not go there. Anche Inzaghi avevi numeri scarso. I think, Castano, you need to learn to wash your mouth out with soap. You'd probably be cleaning Inzaghi's boots if you didn't already at Milanello when you were a sub for the Milan team that you played for when they won the Scudetto. I think Castano might have forgotten the team he was at when he had a heart attack and nearly died. But anyway, any thoughts on this?
But what caused the heart attack? I'm just saying, right? If there's allegations, you shut your mouth, don't you?
Spot on.
You don't. I'm just saying.
He's got nothing better to do than just talk about Leao constantly. Leao achieved more, and he's 26 than Cassano's ever achieved. I don't understand why he keeps.
It's a weird obsession with Leao. I don't understand. I just don't get it.
It's fierce. It's absolutely fierce. It's fierce. He's just an idiot. He is just known as an idiot. The thing is, you never see a positive thing said about Cassano every time he makes these statements. You just never do. He's just an idiot. Oh, God. It's like he's so dense. He's got planets orbiting him. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, one of those planets is Lele Dani. Right, anyway, any thoughts on that before we move on? No? Right, you know.
For those who didn't hear, he says Leao can do another 7 goals. I don't care. Even Inzaghi had those numbers, and he was crap. That's Antonio Cassano.
Cassano, how many goals have you scored in a Champions League final? How many has Inzaghi scored? It's 2, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, twat.
Yeah.
Right. Who is your Pavla Minga of the week? I've got one from the Cagliari game. It's Stupinan. Anything he could have done wrong, he did wrong. Anyone else want to go with that or add anything else?
I'm fine with that too. I still can't get over the fact that he was bodied in the Parma game. I think he's still recovering from that, although that happened 2 months ago.
Yeah, 100%. Gino?
Stupinan.
Okay, well, that was quick and easy. Right, guys, you'll know that we currently have a Substack, and you can subscribe to our Substack for £3.50 a month or become a founding member for about £40 for the whole thing. Thank you to our founding members who are Rune, Raja and Shane, and thank you to our subscribers, Buzz, who was our monthly paying subscriber, Angelo, Lauria, Shahan, Mr. Diavolo, Fahadino, Platima, and Adam Hastings. So thank you very much, guys. I really appreciate it. The last piece which I did was this one here. We came, we bored, we scored, and we Cagliari'd barely. And it's just a piece around what I witnessed in the Cagliari game, a little bit of a breakdown in terms of some tactics and formations, and just a bit of a sarcastic play on words on what I keep watching. So, right, last part of the podcast, guys, before we sign off, is just this question from Rune, who is one of our founding members. Can we get a breakout player, biggest disappointment, favourite game, best win, and mid-season predictions? So let's start with our guest, Raj. What have you got for us, mate?
I'm going to steal the breakout player. I think both of you are going to name him as well. I can't see past Batisagi. And he's just been an absolute revelation. And to think that he couldn't get a break when Theo was here and we had to run Theo into the ground, that's a bit disappointing. And that's closely linked with my biggest disappointment. This is the player we just mentioned a while back, which is Estupinian, who was supposed to be Theo Hernandez's successor. 17 million euros spent on him. Seemed like he was the right fit. He's just got dislodged by an academy graduate who has been sitting on the bench for the last couple of years. So those are that's my breakup player and biggest disappointment. Favorite match, I still remember the goal that Rabiot scored from probably the pitch away from the goal. This was the 3-2 win over Torino. They scored the first couple of goals, and I thought this was game over. And then Rabiot scores that thunder bastard from a distance, and Pulisic scores the second and third goal for Milan to win the game. Very uncharacteristic of any other game that we watch. Very entertaining given the goals as well. The best win, statistically outplayed completely by Napoli and Inter in our respective wins over them in the league. But we ended up winning 1-0, so that's what counts. So I would say the best win is against the two teams that we're competing with for the title. Mid-season prediction, I would say we finish where we currently are, which is second. I think there will come a point where Inter run away with it, and Napoli are going to be iffy, flaky, and inconsistent throughout the season. So I think we'll be the best of the lot behind Inter.
Thank you, Raj. That's really good. Gino.
Breakout, Bartazaghi. Biggest disappointment, I would say, our management. Favorite game was the Inter game, because we beat them, and fair play. I always love it when we beat them. Best win, the Napoli game, because Conte's Conte, Allegri's Allegri. Conte's got all these great players, still beat them. And I think it was just like one of those kind of moments where it's like, yeah, we can go toe to toe with you guys, because we've only got one game a week. To be honest, mid-season predictions, I think we actually probably dropped to third. I do think we finish in the top four, but I think we finish third.
Cool. Okay, breakout player. Yeah, I agree with you both. It's definitely Bartazaghi. Scored 2 goals, 19, 20-year-old. Starting position is nailed down now. Breakout player in Serie A, I think, maybe, not just Milan. So really good. Young, Italian as well, through the youth system. And it gives a security almost at the back that you don't expect from a player of that age. He's been compared ridiculously, as per usual, as people do, to players that are in a completely different stratosphere. But I think, yeah, definitely breakout player. Biggest disappointment, I'm going to go slightly differently this one. I'm going to go Santi Jimenez. And the reason I'm going to go Santi Jimenez is he cost a lot of money last January. We defended him a lot. He didn't have enough time with different managers, summer, Gold Cup, all this other stuff. But to have played 12 games, not scored a single Serie A goal, had like the biggest number of biggest chances missed. Then to have got this random injury, this weird Instagram post, and all this social media stuff on crutches. And I think for me, he's the biggest disappointment. I expected 10, 12 goals by him by this time of the season. He had the chances, he just couldn't score them. A lot of hype, a lot of conversation, a lot of fluff, a lot of talk, not a lot of walk, I'm afraid. In terms of favourite game, my favourite game is the Napoli win. I think to be to have scored 2 goals against a run of play, to have done it in the most Allegri fashion ever, to have gone down to 10 men because of a stupidity from a moron, and still being able to defend the way that we defended for the rest of that game, and come out with 3 points against what are the reigning champions. Definitely my favourite game of the season. Best win has to be a derby, winning a derby, the 6th or 7th, whether it is in a row, where we haven't lost. Inflicting pain on the Kleenex Bandits, reminding them of that 5-0 loss in that fantastic geography that our fans put in that subtle way that they did it with class. Those Cinque Bere, sorry, not sorry. And then in terms of mid-season predictions, I don't see this sustainable. I have a real have this thing where I think as soon as these bigger teams crash out of Europe, that's your Roma, your Juve, your Inter, and your Napoli. This top four race is going to be completely different, and I can see us sliding away a bit. So I'm going to go with fourth. So I've moved my prediction from sixth to fifth, and then from fifth to fourth. I think that's where we're going to go. But I'm pessimistically optimistic, if that makes any sense whatsoever, and we'll see where we get to.
I've just got to say that Rune, I'm so sorry, Rune. You're going to have to come on the pod at some point and just correct the way we say your name.
I hope I've been saying it right.
Fucking awesome in that picture.
He does look good. He's got a good Instagram account as well.
Awesome, man. Does he? Oh,
yeah, he follows us. Yeah, he follows me on there. Yeah, he's a good lad. Yeah.
Good lad, Rune.
Thank you for the question, Rune. Absolute legend.
Well, there he is. Right, we're going to Denmark, Max.
Yeah. We're going next. We're going next. We've got a surprise.
Dude.
We're not going to talk about it. We've got a big surprise end of February. Raj will tell you when we switch the recording off, as you can get some like exclusive.
He's a cool guy. Rune's a cool guy, man. I'm following him now.
He is.
Like, what the hell is he doing following me?
So look, we've come to the natural end of the podcast. A massive thank you and grazie to Raj for coming on. As per usual, fantastic insight, analysis, detail. I'm sure I'm going to clip some of this and show it off as much as I can. So thank you very much. Look, we're a small podcast. We do it for fun. We love having a chat. We love pissing about. It's our favourite thing to do. And we really appreciate having you on here, mate. So look, a massive thank you from me. Gino?
Yeah, Raj. Like, I think you show us what is possible if you prepare.
Yeah.
So don't worry, listeners. We will, Max and I will bring back our usual form of not preparing. Well, actually, Max does a lot of preparation. I just turn up. He just goes, get your jacket on and turn up. So no, honestly, Raj, thank you so much. The analysis at the beginning, I mean, that was like 25 minutes, mate, of gold. That might be like 25 minutes of the best. That was 25 minutes of the best, like AC Milan, like analysis. No podcast has that.
Nope.
Okay, so I don't care. Like, you know, whatever, Puccio, come for me, right? Max, lads, I'm joking. Martin, I'm joking. Right, honestly, it's really, really good. Thank you so much for coming on, mate. It's the first one of the year for us, mate.
Yeah,
so,
it is. Yeah,
we're here.
I hope everyone had a great Christmas and a good year.
You have a good Christmas and New Year. I was sat by myself for the majority of it. Anyway, no, thanks, mate. I really appreciate it. Thank you, everybody.
Cheers. Thank you. It's always a blast to come on here. I'm not being very active on X. I've not been doing a lot of writing. So when I do get an opportunity to come on here and talk Milan, I absolutely love it. I look forward to it. And it's an absolute pleasure to be talking Milan with you guys. The time just flies by and we don't even realize it's been 90 minutes of just fantastic Milan talk. Thank you guys. You guys are fantastic.
Amazing. Raj, if you come into my head, if you ever want to write something and you don't mind us putting it on our Substack, just let me know.
Sure.
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 You can always,
Would love to.
Might be something in it for you. Look, thank you very much, Raj. We really appreciate it.
Cheers.
Thank you to all our listeners. Obviously, you can get us on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Substack, wherever you name it, we're on it. Instagram, TikTok, everything. So please give us.
Do not follow me personally on Instagram. I will not accept it.
Well, we got MLM podcast stuff, so you can follow that.
Follow the MLM.
Right, so I think we'll leave it there then.
That was a bit menacing, actually. Sorry. I just realised. Yeah, but please don't, because I won't accept it. Full stop. Right, carry on.
Especially in that suit. Look at that. It's like Don Johnson.
I'm just kind of hoping 2026 is the glow up year. but knowing me, it'll be the blow up year. So whatever.
Whoa, that's a bit.
Whoa, no, not that kind. Not that kind of blow up. Right, Max, finish this thing.
Right, that's it. Forza Milan, and we'll see you in a week, guys. Ciao, ciao, guys.